All right, senior home business family, how you guys doing today? We're so excited about our topic today. I know it's kind of a downer in a sense because we're actually going to talk about a real life situation when families get rejected, when a community says no to a family and or to the senior placement agent about their particular client that they have. It's devastating, but we're going to give you 10 ways to how to deal with this. So if you're a senior placement agent, take notes. If you're a family out there and you're like, man, I don't need necessarily know how to deal with it. I just want to know the reasons. And we've got some information for you today. And senior placement agents, you can take advantage of it too if you want. We're going to have a free document that I will text you. All you got to do is text me. It's my actual number coming across the screen. It's 10 reasons a senior living community may decline a resident. And so, of course, I've got some of it shaded here because I want you to text me. I want to show me some love. Text me. That's actually my number, you guys. That is not a designated number. Brittany will attest to the fact. Same number I've had probably since, I don't know, gosh, early 2000s. But if you want this 10 reasons a senior living community may decline a resident, the 10 reasons, all you got to do is text me. We'll put that on the screen every now and then just as a reminder. And also, Brittany, I want to show one more thing because this industry is growing leaps and bounds. And I know we talk a lot about statistics and all the baby boomers turning 65 by 2030, and it's a silver tsunami. And it's a, I say all that stuff at nausea. So people are like, come on, man. But, check this out. I love this thing. Now, this is in Australia, but this is a dementia friendly forest and sensory trail. Man, I love this. I mean, I didn't read a whole lot about it. I read kind of the blurbs of it. I guess it's, wheelchair accessible, and there's a lot of different ways that seniors can go. There's a lot of things you cannot do there, like motorbikes and different things that would endanger seniors. And they just made it senior friendly. And I love this. I would love to see this in the United States, but I really believe some things like this are forthcoming in this industry. So if you're thinking about an industry to get involved in that you can actually help, and it's going to be around for decades to come, man, it is the senior living industry. If you know more about that, you can drop down and click a link with the Senior Placement Institute. You can schedule a consultation call with me. I'll get on the call with you, explain you all about what Brittany and I have done with the Senior Placement Institute, made it the most comprehensive senior placement course in the country. Brittany, congratulations. It was all Brittany. I was just kind of the passenger. I was just kind of in for the ride, but it's a great time. We have some great information in there and a great community. We got students from 35 different states, but I just want to show you that. I didn't want to I'm not trying to advertise it. I know it's in Australia. So for the people in the United States like us, it's like, well, I can't really go unless I fly to Australia. I just think some of this stuff will be coming here. Brittany, what do you think? I mean, can we got plenty of land around here and have some kind of dementia friendly forest, right?
Yeah, I love it. Just innovative ways to involve the community and people with dementia. Like you said, it's going to be rapidly growing. So I think we'll see a lot more of unique ways to involve them in the community, allow them to still get out and about and where it's safe for them. And I think I actually kind of just see that it's like even more stimulating for them. So I think an environment that's not overwhelming, but stimulating. So I'm excited to see what this industry and this population does.
Absolutely. And Brittany and I were joking off the screen, if this was in her area or my area, man, I tell you what, pro tip, I would be volunteering, right, Brittany? I'd be out there because that's why you want to go to skilled nursing facilities. That's why you want to go to different places, obviously with a bunch of seniors. It's not just to go there and sell, but to go there and serve and be an advocate for seniors in time of need and help them, right? So let's get into it, Brittany. Today, we're going to talk about the topic on the thumbnail. Everybody came for this, is what to say when a community says no. And this is important for senior placement agents, right? And again, we'll show that document every so often throughout this video, give you my number again. So if you missed it, I'll come back to it a little bit later. But this is going to be more directed to senior placement agents or people that are inquiring about the industry and maybe getting some information along the way. But number one, Brittany, I put down, we just need to normalize the experience. This happens way too often. I know it happens in my area. I've mentioned this to you before. I don't know if I mentioned on the channel yet, but I've got a friend of mine. He's actually my CPA's husband. He owns multiple care homes, and he'll reject people left and right, right? And not like in a mean way. He's very kind-hearted, loves people, but he wants me to refer to him at residents that somehow mysteriously will be guaranteed to live 2 years. And I'm not God, Brittany. Last time I checked, I can't come up with a definitive number that, okay, by all means, this person's definitely going to live 24 months minimum. I can't guarantee that. But so some of those residents have been rejected. And but what does it mean, Brittany, to normalize the experience? And outside of saying that, has this happened to you before? Residents have been rejected?
Yeah, it's definitely very common, like you said. So normalizing it that it is common and that it does happen. I know we'll talk about this, but prepping people for this circumstance before it happens is very helpful. We can go into more detail about that. But yeah, it does happen. And also, I think there's many reasons why it happens. Like you said, everybody has their specific resident that they prefer to have. So as senior placement agents, knowing what that specific resident is important. But I mean, I even say I normalize it that it's not predictable. I mean, I have communities that one week will accept people that I think they might not accept. Then I have communities the following week that will accept people that, I thought they would. So it's really hard for me to tell. And I know there's so many factors that go into it. So yeah, just knowing that it happens, and it's a sad part about it, but it's very, very common. Actually, I think you can probably agree, a daily occurrence that people deny.
Yeah.
Seniors.
Yeah. Some of it could be, census driven, right? Some of it just flat out could be they just can't accommodate the resident, but it can be disheartening, as you know, Brittany, for families that maybe have their hopes on one particular home because someone has been there, or one particular community because they're very familiar with that community. Maybe they got some people in their church that have gone there or maybe worked there, and they really feel more comfortable, mom or dad, being there, only to find out that mom gets rejected through an assessment. And it's no fault to the communities, guys. This is just something that we experience on, like Brittany says, a daily basis. And so we do want to normalize the experience. And then also, as a senior placement agent, you also want to make sure you speak solutions and not problems, right? I mean, this is just kind of a way you've got to take action and say, this is what we're to do next. Take control of the situation, not in the sense that you're a control freak, but you are the expert, right? As a senior placement agent, you don't throw up your hands and get all emotional about it. I don't know why they didn't accept you. I have no idea. But they accepted another resident, of mine months ago, very similar to your, and you get into this whole pity party and blame game, and you don't do that. You just start speaking solutions, right? I mean, don't focus on the positive, not the negative, right, Brittany?
Agreed. Yeah. Like you said, be a problem solver. We're all frustrated probably at this point, because as a referral agent or placement agent, you probably thought it could be a good fit. There might be a good chance they do say no, but yeah, just letting them know what the next steps are. I found in this industry, always have a plan B. Things change hourly, whether it be with the resident, whether it be with the community. So always have a plan B and speak that to the family. Let them know that you're there for whatever rope up comes into play. And that will create that bond and that trust with that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, and dealing with the situation with families having their hopes high on a certain situation or community, it can be deflating, right? It can be devastating. It can be like, man, because a lot of times, you guys, I deal with a lot of residents that come, and I know Brittany come from hospitals more or less. Mine a lot come from skilled nursings. And it's kind of a short time frame of being discharged. So it's kind of a pressure cooker as it is, right? It's pressure oriented kind of deal where, man, we got to get somewhere, right? And I don't want you to just think of just getting somewhere, but I want you to think on number 3, keep the focus on the loved one's needs, right? It's not about just the quantity of communities that are out there, but it is about what's best for them, right? It is about more of the quality than availability. And so we really need to focus on that particular deal and say, man, that didn't work out, and that's okay. I mean, audience, has this ever happened to you? I know if you've lived past 5 years of age, it's probably happened to you where you've got your hopes on something, whatever it is, especially later on in life as a teenager. Maybe you had your high hopes on a certain university to get into, and it just didn't work out. You didn't have, high enough ACTs, you didn't GPA, or they just rejected you for whatever. I don't know. I had my last girlfriend in high school, Brittany, and she had a 4.3 GPA, and amazing 4.3 GPA, but she could not get into William & Mary. She scored the SATs at the time. The highest you could get was 1,600. I know I'm dating myself. I know that's not the case today, you guys, but back when I was going, it was 1,600, 800 on the English and 800 on the math. That's the highest you can get. She got a 1280. Smart. I know, I was with her all the time. Highly intelligent, and got rejected because she was going into biology. That's what she wanted to major. And that particular university had a bunch of people evidently trying to get admitted into biology, and her 1280 just didn't cut it because there was a lot of people out there who had a 1350 and whatever. It was just like, so she ended up going to University of Virginia, was still another prestigious school. But keep the focus on the loved one's needs, right, Brittany? Because we're more of an advocate for seniors. We need to do that.
Definitely. I think another thing too to point out here, sometimes the families, like you mentioned, they're dead set on a community and it might not be the right fit at all. Might not have ever been, but maybe things have changed and it's no longer the right fit when they're ready to be placed. So we always do right by the family as a senior placement agent and meet their wants and their needs, and we look into things. But I think it's really important here to prep the families if they are really dead set on one community and you know there's a possibility they might not accept that senior, to prep them for that. But also like remind them of their loved one's needs. This is huge. I know in my areas, there's a lot of assisted livings that are more conservative. I have families that want to go to these communities. They are amazing communities. They are rated very well. However, if their loved one is at that kind of level of care where they need quite a bit of help with ADLs, it's not a good fit. So it's talking them through those things, making sure you're focused on their loved one's needs, expressing that to them, and not getting their hopes to where they think this place will accept them when you probably know it won't be a good fit. This also applies to long term. When you're looking at these seniors' needs and wants and all the things, like you have to make sure you're talking these families through the long term. Maybe it's a solution for 3 months, but you want to be transparent that in 3 months, it might not be any longer. So there's a lot of things here. Always stay focused on what the family wants, but be realistic with them in a very professional, empathetic way that, it might not be the right fit. The one they're in love with might not be the right fit.
Yeah. And I know typically we focus on at the beginning because we try to narrow it down through a process, not just because we're targeting certain care homes or directing seniors to certain places. I know senior placement agents have maybe a bad rep doing that. I know you don't do that. I don't do that. But, we give them, say, like 3 and the first one rejects them. It's kind of like, oh, my gosh, what about the next 2? And so what you want to do is use empowering language, number 4, right? We still got options. Remain optimistic because this is a very devastating time in their life, and it's a very confusing time. It's something the resident typically does not want to do, and the family feels guilty and shamed and bad and all that kind of stuff about putting mom or dad somewhere. I know we don't use that language, but it's kind of the way they feel, right? They're putting mom and dad somewhere, they're abandoning them, and the resident feels that. So you need to speak empowering language, because if you don't, what's going to happen is possibly, let's say the resident definitely needs assisted living and he or she cannot stay at home, and they get rejected at one community and they start feeling bad. Well, they already feel bad sometimes and oftentimes putting their mom and dad somewhere. So now you're kind of compounding the bad, the negative. And so it just reinforces us as senior placement agents. We need to use empowering language, man. We still got options, and there's options out there. And that one didn't work out because maybe, it wasn't the right fit for mom or dad, right? And so we got this one, and you want to insinuate the positive. I remember I used to sell manufactured homes back in the day. Brittany, I started off selling used stuff that you wouldn't live in, I wouldn't live in, 12 by 60, 12 by 48, just shackles, man, carpet all torn up, kitchen looking horrendous and all that stuff. I remember my boss taught me back in the day, I was a young guy, and he goes, hey, you need to insinuate the positive, so I'd be out there going, showing this load of crap, and I'd be going, oh, beautiful, look at that kitchen, man, cabinets were falling off the wall, place smelled to high heaven, oh, gorgeous, you just, and I'm not trying to say you just go to that extent, but you need to insinuate the positive, utilizing empowering language. So, Brittany, what can you say to the senior placement agent out there that may be a little bit stumped because, let's say they had a referral agreement with this one community. It turned out it was going to be a really great fit for mom, just didn't work out. And now they've kind of somehow, and I think senior placement agents do this, they put all their eggs in one basket. Right. I know Easter came and went and all that stuff. But they kind of put all their eggs in one basket, and they're like, okay, we got this. And now not only is the family deflated, I think in some ways, the senior placement agent, if they're not careful and remaining the professional, the specialist in the area to help the family through the process, they in turn will be deflated, and the family will sense that from you. And then they won't sense any sort of direction, leadership, guidance from you, because you're going, oh my gosh, I don't do now. I guess I'll, let me get back to you. Let me go find something else. You don't want to use that kind of language, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I think, again, just always having that plan B, always having a backup. And I really think it's helpful on your initial conversations to let them know this could be a possibility. So set the tone. That way you're not backtracking like you're saying and say, oh, let's go back to the drawing board. I'm not sure. You don't want to use that language. You want to make sure you remain the expert and always have a plan B. That doesn't mean send a referral in, get another assessment, always just having a plan B. So if something falls through, you can say, okay, family, I know this did not work, but I have this option. Let's try this route. You have to remain, to your point, the leader, because that builds trust. And I know we'll talk about trust too, but that keeps that relationship going. I wanted to comment one thing I say about the empowering language, which I think does resonate well. A lot of times communities deny because they cannot care for their needs, whether it be staffing, whether it be the current residents they have. Maybe it's a care home with 6 residents and they're adding their 7th, and 6 are on Hoyer lifts. The 7th would have been on a Hoyer lift, and they cannot maintain that level of care, or whatever that looks like. I actually make it a positive in saying that I am thankful the community tells us they cannot accept your loved one instead of accepting your loved one and not giving the care.
Yeah.
That resonates. And we're not telling a fib at all. Like, usually when I get denials, it's because they cannot meet their needs. So we don't want a community to say, oh, we're low occupied, go ahead, bring them in, and then not perform and not give the quality of care they deserve. So families really like that. It is the truth. Most communities, almost all, are ethical in that, and they're doing it because they cannot care for their needs. So you don't want the opposite to happen at all.
Yeah. And to your point, Brittany, I really believe that puts senior living communities in good light. Like, they're not just accepting anyone and everyone. Guys, you don't want that out there. Senior placement agents or families, you don't want to say, okay, because they got a room available, or, apartment available, we'll take anyone. They're being selective because, to Brittany's point, they are focusing on the care needs. Are we able to care for your loved one? Because last thing you want is them to accept your loved one. This is even worse, right, Brittany? They accept the loved one, and now they can't take care of your loved one, and now the loved one is suffering because of it, and you as a family are disappointed with the whole process. And it's like, man, I just knew it. No one can take care of mom or dad like me, which may be true, but maybe they got into the wrong community. So I want to, and I think this is where it comes into being very empathetic. I know a lot of people want to get in this business, Brittany, because of the money you make, right? I mean, the money that we make in this industry is fairly great. I know it's relative, but it's really good. But we need to continue to be an advocate for seniors and validate people's concerns, right? I mean, we just need to figure out, where they are and listen to them and say, I understand this is a frustrating issue. And I always, and you notice, Brittany, if you hang around me for 5 minutes, when anybody tells me something like this, let's say they express some emotions of sadness or disbelief or whatever it may be, I agree with them right where they are. But then as soon as you agree with them, you've got to be able to move them to the next step. You've got to remain professional. The senior placement agent, as great as you are, and maybe you just started, and this will be a great learning experience for you, but you got to be able to take control of the situation, because if you just get swept up into the tears, swept up into the emotion of it, and you stay there, it almost be like a counselor, right? Let's say you're going through a situation, could be marital, could be, something to do with work or whatever you're struggling with, an addiction or something, and you're going to this individual, and whatever you're sharing is very emotional to you because you're experiencing it, and you release those emotions through tears or anger or shouting or whatever it is, and then the counselor reciprocates. They start to cry and they start to get mad, and they're like, because they're on your side. But I mean, so they in essence are great at this, I would think, of validating someone's emotions, but then knowing how to pivot to what's next. What's the next step? So that's number 5. Brittany, let's talk about number 6. Emphasize your experience. I mean, this will happen with families, right? Ongoingly. And what do you say to families when they do get rejected? I know you mentioned some of this early on, but how do you just base it on your experience and what you have, just experienced with families and how it's relatable to them?
Yeah. I mean, I have been shocked, don't get me wrong, but I really have learned, again, I don't want to keep repeating it, but giving them some kind of insight that it could happen. I do skilled nursing. Let me give you an example of how I would handle this and like what I would say. So I do skilled nursing in my areas. I'm allowed to for private pay, so a little bit different, but I would relate it to care homes, very similar. So when you are at that higher level of care, I get a lot of families that are under the impression, well, they're the highest level of care. They're a care home. They can do all this care. They only have 4 to 6 residents. So why are they denying my loved one? What do you mean they can't take my loved one? I've seen the residents. I've gotten this before. I saw the residents and
Right.
our dad is nowhere near as bad as those residents. So again, to go back on kind of the stuff that we talked about of the didn't accept your loved one, if this is why, because they cannot provide or don't feel they can provide the care for your loved one that they need. Or maybe it's something specific. Maybe it's a wound. Maybe it's a cat. So based on when you're a placement agent and learning all of these things, you get to know the community so you can prep these families if they really want this place, or not even that. If you feel like it's a chance and you want to try it, but letting them know, here's my experience with this community. Here's my experience in general as a placement agent. I know your mom needs 2 people to lift her. Okay, well, there could be a chance it's not a good fit here. So just making sure that you, again, give them everything that you know. I have found in this industry, the more you share with them, not to overwhelm them, but it builds that relationship. You're their advocate. They want to trust you. So all your experience matters. Now, It's a lot to take in. Don't sit there and say, list 50 communities, every experience you've had with every single one, but definitely let the family know that you have the experience. And if you're just starting, if you have a coach or if you have somebody that is teaching you how to do these things, ask, find out your market, see what communities are able to provide, see what communities can handle things like dementia with behaviors. You're going to need to know these things and you can express them to the family. The second you start talking about your experience and what you know, it builds trust. It builds that you're their advocate. It really does. They don't know what they don't know, So just giving them the experience that you have is really helpful.
I love, Brittany, how you share this on the front end. And we teach the senior placements to how we are to walk families through a process. And we tell them certain things at the beginning. And that's one of the things that we can share with them in terms of helping them not lower expectations, but have realistic expectations. And then by knowing your market, you guys, there's no reason why you should not know your market unless you just started. But if you've been doing this business any length of time and you still don't know your market, and I'm talking beyond price point, I'm talking beyond where their location is, I'm talking about just knowing the community. And when you do know the community, you are empowered to speak on their behalf. And that's what families really want. They can figure out some of these other things if you're just talking on the peripheral, if you're just talking baseline information. But if you're getting into what Brittany's talking about and just prepping them through an experience, like you might want to, if, a person is requiring a Hoyer lift. I use that example a lot because it happens to me. I don't know why. I usually get somebody that's 270, 280 pounds and they need a Hoyer lift, right? Or a 2-person assist, but man, when the caregivers are $130, it's kind of hard to do a 2-person assist. And so you really want to do that, even though the communities, because I know this to be true, because this is an example I've used several times because I used to work for a community that did this. We would always emphasize that we could still accommodate mom, even though she needs a Hoyer lift, and we didn't provide a Hoyer lift. So you just want to be able to prep them that. So what you could do in the former community I used to work for, go through a process and then ultimately be rejected because they cannot provide a Hoyer lift. It's something they just did not do. There's a lot of different reasons, but beyond the scope of this video, but it's just, you want to do that. So emphasize your experience, and then maybe might be good. And you don't want to belabor the point and, make it sound like it's, a bigger deal than what it is. Cause I like to move on to the next step, deal with their emotions, deal with what they're going through and move on. But it wouldn't hurt probably share a quick story. Like, hey, in my experience, this will typically happen, and it's okay. It's part of the process, and they like that. It makes them feel good, but it's also true. It's not just a feel good thing. It's not popping a pill or whatever, just kind of like, oh man, make them feel really good for the moment. But it's just, it happens. And so when it does happen, say, hey, I'm used to it. That's why you got me in your camp. That's why you got me working for you, because this happens quite a bit, probably more often than you think. So we're going to overcome this, and I know how to overcome it. Again, you're you're giving them the confidence, right? Because you want to be calm during this time. You want to exude confidence, and you've got to have clarity in your process. Pro tip right there. If you watch this video as long as you have, you deserve that. So if you're a senior placement agent during this moment, be calm, be confident, and have clarity. And if you have those 3 C's during this process, you're going to be all right. But Brittany, hit on number 8 here. Reinforce your role as their advocate. I know you do a great job doing that. I want you to take the ball on that. And I think that would be important for the family to realize, especially when they soon just got rejected.
Yeah, I think letting them know, of course, we don't want to bombard them. They know that you're working for them, but I think a little bit of a tidbit, letting them know that you did everything that you could, that you were setting them up for success to hopefully get accepted, which is what our goal is as a senior advocate for sure, is to make sure we're presenting everything in the best light to give that senior the best chance to go there. So I think just letting them know that that's what we're here for, and we're going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that they get to the right place, wherever that is, if we don't know at this point. Also, again, expressing all the things that we've talked about, like your education, your experience, all of that is going to show that you're their advocate and you're there for them. One thing, I never want to paint communities in a bad light, but letting them know that you're not here to sell them. And not by saying, I'm not here to sell you. It's the way that you present yourself. It's the way that you're there for them. This is not a sales role. We've said it so many times. If you're not a senior placement agent yet, please don't feel like this is a sales role, but it's more of like a customer service thing. So again, not telling them I'm not here to sell you or whatever that looks like, but just being there for them. Like everything we've talked about, listen to their emotions, have the next step. Make sure that you're doing the next steps. Communication, make sure you're communicating with them immediately. When you find out that that place can't accept them, call the family, make a next step. That is showing that you're there for them and you're their advocate. You're not just sitting back and saying, oh, well, they didn't get accepted,
Right.
We'll go back to the drawing board. I know, Matt, me and you work in very high time crunch, high pressure cooker scenarios. I don't have time to sit back.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hours. So it just depends on what this is. And even if you don't get your leads from hospitals and social workers, maybe a family called you and they're in the hospital, they're in rehab. So it is a pressure cooker situation. So you can't sit back and say, oh, I'll get to it Monday and find out, where we're at. Just reinforce that you are there for them and not in a salesy, unethical way, in a genuine way. That's what you're there for. I mean, when my clients get denied, I feel hurt inside a little bit. I don't sit there and cry with them. We just have to find a solution. So I think families really, when you are just genuine, you're helping them and doing everything you can. It really just shows you are an advocate and you will do whatever it takes.
Yeah. And guys, you hear what you were saying during this time? It's been almost 28 minutes in this video. So if you last this long, I'll give you something else. You need to know more than just the steps to get this business not only off the ground, but be successful. This is a profession, not some side hustle. It's something that you need to grow into. But at the same time, don't beat yourself up over it. I mean, when I first started, there's a lot of things I didn't know, right? And so over time, you get to know those things, but how you get to know is through experience. And so this is kind of one of those experience things. Like, we've experienced this type thing of families getting rejected, their loved one getting rejected, getting a big no from a community for various reasons. And again, if you want to know what that thing is, just text me and I'll give you that list of 10. But it comes through experience. So when you get into this industry, if you just started with it recently, like I've shared many times, Brittany, I get 2 or 3 either texts or calls per month without exception of somebody's been in the business for 6 months, 8 months, whatever, and they don't have any move-ins, right? And they're just looking to start this business because they hear about how lucrative it is. But you guys, you've got to fully understand not only the process and all the lead gen and the strategies and all that, but this is really where it takes of being a person of empathy, that you are fully comprehending the situation. You are putting yourself in the situation. And some of this just comes from experience. It doesn't mean some can't learn it quicker than others. Doesn't mean it's going to take 5 to 10 years to learn it. But I'm telling you, like anything in life, have you ever had a professional come to your house, work on your house, or a professional work on your car, or whatever it is, and you just know by listening to the individual, they just have years of experience. They didn't say they've been working on cars for 20 years. They didn't say they've been doing roofs for 20 years. But you just know the way they talk and how they talk and what they talk about. and have the answers. And you're like, my gosh, this guy, he knows a lot, right? And that's going to come through time. So you want to do that kind of thing. All right. So frame it in a positive filter. Me and my AI camera just kind of decided to move me down a little bit. I don't understand why it's doing that, Brittany. Let me move me back up to my position. I mean, I'm not 5'8", I don't think, last time I checked, but it's anyway, but frame it as a positive filter. And this is where clarity comes in. So you need to have clarity about the situation. And you just got to frame it, right? Because it is what it is, but it could be a good thing. I mean, some things in life are just a blessing in disguise. I mean, some of you dodged the wrong relationship. Some of you dodged going to wrong school. Some of you dodged other things, didn't really know. You just thought that was what you wanted to do, who you wanted to be with. And then 5-10 years down the road, you go, whoo, man, I sure dodged a bullet there, right? I mean, it just kind of happens. So we need to frame it in a positive light and filter and understand that be clear, have some clarity involved with it. So Brittany, use time, language strategically. What in the world does that mean? I mean, kind of like, I just look at it as like a bump in the road, right? It's not really a delay. I would use it in a sense that, hey, we're right on schedule, right? Because if you're truly working with the family through this process, and let's say whether you have a quick turnaround, 24 to 72 hours, or you got a couple weeks, right? If you're doing your homework and due diligence and understand that you are putting all of what you got into this client, right? Because it can get a little difficult, guys. I know when you got 1 or 2 clients, that's relatively easy. Try having 15 to 20 of them, right, Brittany? Come on. I mean, try having that many, and you're going, I'm going to give everything I've got, man. I'm going to spend 20 hours in a week. Well, the math doesn't really compute, because if you got 10 of them you're working with at 20 hours, I don't know if you have 200 hours in a week to give. Is there any many hours in a week? I don't even think there's that many hours in a week, is it? I don't know what's 24 times 7. I don't know, Brittany. Well, I'm curious now. What's
I don't know. I'm bad at math.
24, I guess, well, it's 168 hours.
No, you don't have to. 168. So
yeah. So if you got 10 clients giving 20 hours, 200 hours, you've exceeded the amount of time you're actually giving, and you're not eating and you're not sleeping. So you're going to have to expedite the process when you go to the next level. When you are at 1 or 2, when I got my first client, Brittany, I don't need to go through it because I've shared a story on this video, some videos before in the past. But man, I was so excited. We met with the family like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I went home, did a little bit of homework, about an hour or 2, ate some dinner, spent some time with the wife. The next day, I spent all day with one client. Man, I think I probably provided more research and than I've ever done with any client. I still remember her today. I got a picture of her. I know where she went. She's wonderful. I know her family. I know everything about her, man. I probably knew where she went to school. I don't know. I'm making that up probably. I don't know. But I knew a lot about her. But try when you got 10, 15, 20 clients to do that. Unless you got a big staff, unless you got a lot of people that are doing it, but you're going to have to figure out ways to expedite the situation. So this is just a bump in the road when they get a no. That's all it is. It's not even a delay, right? It's just we're right on schedule. This is what happens, right? If you're in sales, you go out selling a product or a service and you get a bunch of no's, you know what yes is coming. You got to get through the bumps in the road to get to the success. Going on vacation, driving to your destination, there's going to be maybe a pothole, maybe a road close or whatever it is. You got to navigate around it, get to your destination. Be in control as the senior placement agent. So, Brittany, wrap it up for us. What do you want to say about this whole thing? Because it is a reality. I mean, it happens, right? You and I have said this multiple times on this video. It happens ongoingly. And just to wrap it up, put a bow on it. I know it's not Christmas yet. We're still in April, but put a bow on this thing.
I think it's just part of the process. It's a part of the process a lot of people don't know. I will be completely honest. I did not think this would be a road bump in my journey as a senior placement agent before I started. I had no idea this would be one of the obstacles, if you want to call it, that we have to get around, but it's part of the process. So just do your education. Make sure that you know what you're talking about, that you're referring to the right places that possibly could be a fit. Don't refer to places that you know for sure would not take a senior. That is not doing your job correctly. That is prolonging. To your point, that would be a delay. But just do your due diligence with them and let them know it's part of the process. It's an unfortunate part of it, but look at it as just a way to get to the landing destination.
Yeah, absolutely. But guys, we hope you enjoyed this. We hope you enjoy every Wednesday we come to you live. We enjoy providing value to you. We hope you gain some value. If you do, drop a comment down below. If you want to know more about what we do, there's all kinds of links down below about TSL, our new proprietary software we've got to help and assist seniors, and having one senior placement agent per territory. Senior Placement Institute, there's like a $30 3-day workshop down below, a free webinar. I don't know, whatever's down below. There's all kinds of little things you can click. Enjoy yourself. But we really appreciate you and anything we can do to help you. If there's a topic you want us to share on, drop a comment down below. I'll receive it, right? Or you want to text it to me. You saw my number on the screen 4 or 5 times. You can text it to me, and Brittany and I will elaborate on those topics. She is an individual, and I'm an individual that can talk about this industry all day, every day, because we do this thing all day, every day. It's not like we're trying to drum something up. It's not like we're trying to figure out, okay, how to articulate this, and what if they did experience that? No, Brittany experiences this all the time. I experience it all the time. So we're just kind of sharing our life with you. So hopefully you like our life. I like my life. I know you like your life. It's great. This business is great because you get to make someone else's life a lot better as well. So you guys, thank you so much for being with us. Till next time, God bless.